Serious therapists, what is something people are afraid to tell you because they think it's weird, but that you've actually heard a lot of times before? Intrusive thoughts. Nearly everyone has thoughts about pushing the old lady onto the subway train, swerving into opposing traffic, or stabbing their loved one in the stomach while cooking dinner with them. Some folks, however, take these thoughts very serious that believe that they might act them out. It's called thought-action fusion. Most of us are able to brush them off, though. I felt so ashamed to talk about my intrusive thoughts that got extremely upsetting right after I had my son. Gosh, they were horrible. I thought I was the worst mother ever. Medication really helped, and also just time. The first few months postpartum were so hard. I really wish it was more normal for moms to just automatically have at least 1 or 2 scheduled therapy sessions pp, just like you have a scheduled follow-up with your OB. If you're worrying about being a good mother, then you are probably a fantastic mother. If you're concerned, if you worry about how they might end up or how they are feeling or if they're hungry or cold, you're probably a great parent overall and your kids are lucky to have you. If you screw up and then feel bad and apologize and try to make things right, you're probably a great parent. Worrying that you're a bad parent is a really good sign that you might be a great parent. I have heard some variant of this is probably weird, but I feel if I am my true self around others then they won't like me more times than I can count. As I explore the formative situations to this belief alongside my clients, it definitely pulls at my heartstrings. The amount of people I see who feel like they should be grieving a certain way and are afraid that they must not have loved someone, or must not have cared. People grieve in all sorts of ways. The 5 stages of grief are bullshit. I was consulting with another clinician who was seeing a couple whose daughter had died. The wife was convinced that the husband must not have cared about her because he wasn't grieving out loud. In reality, while she had been going to support groups and outwardly expressing, he had been continuing to work in a garden that him and his daughter had kept when she was alive, using that time to process and grieve as he did. Both were perfectly fine ways of grieving, however it is expected that one's grief is more than the other. They both ended up working it out, however, he driving her and others to their weekly support group, her attempting to work in the garden with him on the condition that they didn't talk. Really sweet. To that same extent, the amount of people who are unaware of their own emotions and emotional process is astounding. So many people feel only angry or happy and worry something must be wrong with them otherwise. Normalizing feeling the whole gamut is just as important. Recognizing what we're feeling as well as what it feels like in our body when we're feeling is incredibly helpful for understanding how we process and feel. As a whole, how we treat emotions as a society is kind of fucked. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Edit, Gamut not Gambit. My mom yelled at my once for not even caring when my dad left. I turned around, walked out of the house, and it has impacted our relationship to this day. In reality, I was doing my damnedest to hold everything together, as in helping with the household needs, supporting her and my sister, and doing a lot of internal work. Just because I'm not very expressive doesn't mean that I don't have feelings, or that I'm not processing. I feel that last time I broke in front of my family I was explaining how I felt like I was responsible for holding the family together and how they all vent to me and rely on me but nobody helps me, but all they said was, well, you didn't look sad. Like, yet I couldn't cry on the couch for a week because someone around here needed to keep taking dad to rehab or get him out of jail or get mom's medicine or help my brother through school and life or help them grieve or just keep the chores getting done around the house while they just collapsed. I'm doing better now and have found some supportive friends and I know they care, but it's so hard for me to really believe it enough to actually grieve or feel bad about things. I'd say a common one is believing that there's something innately, irreparably wrong with them that makes them unable to ever truly fit in. For a lot of people it's such a deeply ingrained belief that it can be extremely painful to acknowledge or express, regardless of the level of personal success in their lives. The worst is knowing beyond doubt that you are holding a false belief about yourself and yet not being able to change it. I've spent long enough in therapy trying to figure out what's wrong with me to know there's no there there, but the ingrained pattern of thinking doesn't go away. I get exactly what you mean, dude. I've got several close friends, people who have objectively gone out of their way to find ways to hang out with me and include me in things, and yet no matter how hard I try I still can't shake the idea that it's all this elaborate ruse. I know it's ridiculous and not true, but it's still there all the same. Two topics come up with regularity: when someone discloses to me that they were sexually abused as a kid, or when some is experiencing suicidal ideation. Both are something I hear from clients every single day, and so I don't find it weird at all. But, when I have someone in front of me who's talking about it for the first time, I know it's important to validate the fact that even though I might be talking about this for like the 5th time that day, they have never talked about this ever, and are in need of gentle care to feel safe. Yes. That validation was life-changing for me. I talked about my early childhood sexual trauma to a few people and counselors to try to process, and was often told that what I went through wasn't that bad or someone else had it worse. It wasn't until a few years ago that our marriage counselor validated my feelings in front of my husband that I truly felt heard and was able to start healing. That they do not know what they enjoy doing. Often they have people in their life, including therapists, say try to do something fun today or ask what do you like to do when you have free time. Many people I work with do not know what those are. Once I explain that I dislike these statements/questions because they assume people should know the answer, and that many people don't, I can watch as they relax, take a deep breath, and say something to the effect of, "Oh my, that's so good to hear. I have no idea what I like to do." That's part of the problem. More often than not they feel like they should know and that everyone else their age has it figured out. They are embarrassed to say that they don't know when in fact not knowing is very common. I couldn't even try to count how many clients I've had this conversation with.